Hello and welcome to this episode of the Business Spotlight. Today we are joined by Jack Longman. Hi, Jack.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Cheers. No, it's a pleasure to be here.
Great stuff. So, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, what is the Business Spotlight? So, the Business Spotlight, it's where we showcase local businesses and local business owners, and we'll ask them a bunch of questions just about themselves, their business, their journey so far. And a lot of the feedback that we get is that the experiences of a lot of businesses is very similar, and that can resonate. And I always say, and we always say, it's great to learn from other people's experiences. So if you're in business, thinking about getting in business or already on that entrepreneurship journey, you're in the right place. So Jack, if you could just kick things off for us by letting the audience know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Jack Longman, founder and managing director of Social Advantage. We are a social media marketing agency for businesses, predominantly B2B businesses. And we help businesses with content creation, social media management, really like a go-to-market strategy on social media. And yeah, I've been doing social media marketing, I guess, for uh, about 15 years, but this business has been running 4 years. So it started in the pandemic. Before that, I was doing it freelance as a bit of like a consultant and in other jobs that I had and stuff like that.
Wow, fantastic. So yeah, so you got a big chunk of experience there. So that's good to know. Thanks for that, share. So 15 years experience and the business has been running just after the pandemic, so 4 years. So what would you say what you do, Jack? What makes you stand out from the other competition that's out there doing something similar?
So the way, like when I say 15 years, obviously a lot of that wasn't. I never intended to start a social media agency. Basically, my whole background is in music. So I was in a full time touring punk hardcore band for like 10 years, most of my 20s basically. And in doing that, I spent a lot of time in the back of the van worrying about what I was going to do when I was grown up. But what I didn't realize is I was actually getting the skills that I needed to run the business that I run today, which was social media marketing. That was the only tool that we had really to communicate with our and build a fan base for the band and build a brand online basically. So there was a lot of transferable skills there. After a while, I started, when we weren't on tour and stuff like that, I started working for other businesses in the music industry. So, like recording studios, record labels. I worked for like a vinyl distribution company for quite a while, just running their e-com stores or social media profiles, just taking what I had learned from growing the band's kind of pages at a very kind of ground level up and applying that to business. And then after a while, um, I started to have like friends businesses reach out to me and ask if I could help them do that as well. So I built up like a little freelance client base, but I was very much focused on being in music and being a music producer, making records and doing professional voiceovers and podcast recordings and stuff like that, which I guess you could argue is all content, but it's not. I didn't see myself as running an agency basically. And then when the pandemic hit, basically all of my pipeline of work when it comes to music just kind of died a death overnight and left me feeling very worried on the kitchen table. And I actually got a couple of inquiries through. I think it was either that night or it was the next day, uh, from the friends of my current social media clients that were like, but I think the conversation went something like, who's doing your social media? Like, we really need to know how to do that, and we need someone to do that. And I think that's as a result of when that happened, the lockdown and everything like that. A lot of businesses kind of got caught with their pants down in terms of the front door to their shops, the shop doors closed, and they
Yeah.
thought they'd have that forever. And they weren't paying attention to digital marketing or social media marketing. And so, yeah, when those doors closed, they obviously realized that and was like, oh, we need to get on that straight away. So I managed to grow a little customer base and thought, well, sod it, I might as well see how this goes and start an agency, because the music stuff, there was no kind of date at which I could get back in a studio and make music and or record things. So I just thought, there and then on my kitchen table, okay, I'll start a marketing company and just do what I've always done in terms of use what I'd learned from those very early days of like just promoting my band to help build businesses brands on Facebook and Instagram, and it's I've kind of never looked back really, and the music stuff is more of a hobby horse for me now. It's still like it's a separate business that I run, but it's not something that I actively do day in day out, and I honestly don't know how I would ever have the time because this business is a big factor in my time. But yeah, that's basically how I got into running what I do. And I would say what separates us is the way that we apply our creativity to a business's problem. So you'll see a lot of agencies in this space who are very, very creative, but they haven't aligned that to the commercial objectives of their client. They're just like, oh, this is trending, we should do this, or oh, this could be a nice post. And it's kind of I like to call it fluffy, basically. And that's basically what we are definitely against. It has to be aligned with what the business is trying to achieve. Every single post is like a prospective asset for the business, and everything is aligned to the commercial objectives of the business. And that's very much in our core values as a marketing agency, and something that we do for, as I say, for every single post that we write and create for a client. That's very much the lifeblood of it.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing backstory. I mean, it's always interesting to hear how, the lockdown was the catalyst for a lot of businesses that I now speak to.
Mm.
I know it was the demise of some businesses, but it seems that there was an awful lot of businesses that were launched either during or there or thereabouts time frame wise. So it's always interesting to hear that. So thanks for that share, Jack.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's like, like, so that they say like 2008 and what everything that happened around there. Obviously, that was a desperate time for loads, but it also spawned a load of new entrepreneurs and loads of new businesses. And
Absolutely.
I do agree with you. I think like obviously I'm case in point, like I started a business in literally like March or April when everything closed down, and I now know like quite a few entrepreneurs that did the same thing. So yeah, it's a strange old time.
Absolutely. It was, wasn't it? It was. So, no, that's brilliant. I think there's going to be a lot of people that will resonate with. So now that the business is where it is, I mean, it's been running, you say 4 years now. I mean, just give us a bit of like a whistle stop tour of sort of like now the business is up and running and some of
Mhm.
those challenges that you've had along the way and bring us up to speed to where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the uh, business 101 founder troubles of letting go and delegation and stuff like that, which is still something that you have to learn. It's never something that you've never completed it, mate, if you know what I mean. Like you're always learning how to do that, in my opinion, or at least I am. But yeah, it's very much. I guess it started as me on my laptop on my kitchen table in the lockdown, and now it is a team of 6 or 7 with the very startings of departments and stuff like that. So I've always had the view that since I made the decision to start it, I was like, right, well, I don't want to be one of these guys that's like on sitting on a beach in Bali saying, "Oh, I get to do nothing," and this is the blah blah blah. That I always wanted like a marketing company with like teams and like a legacy with clients and stuff like that. So that's always been my vision for it. So that's what I'm building basically.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And it's refreshing to hear that as well. So, yeah, I've got a few people that I speak with on a not so regular basis that do exactly what you've just described about being on a beach in Bali.
Each to their own, but the solopreneur thing is very attractive to many. But in my opinion, it's also a double-edged sword, and it comes with a very big chain, as in like it's not something that you could scale or sell in the same way, because you are the business, and that is something that I'm not saying that I do want to sell it or that I want to just like do nothing, if you know what I mean. But I want it to be able to run without me in a way that I could. If I left for a week and came back, nothing would be on fire.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that's always been my vision.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot. I think, well, as you know from being coached, it's one of our core sort of values is to create a commercially profitable enterprise that works without you. So,
Mm.
So now that's really refreshing to hear. So looking forward then, Jack, what would you say are going to be some of your main challenges going forward?
Um, so I don't know if I guess a lot of marketing agencies, and at least initially, were worried about AI, but I've never seen it as a hindrance like, because we used it from a very early point. There was an app. I think it was literally called something like Captions or something like that, and we cottoned onto it really quickly and realized, okay, it's good at this, it's not good at that. So that's always been part of our workflow, and I always saw it as that boat is setting sail. You're either on it or you're not, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Challenges, obviously, changes in the marketplace. So new government, new, there's a recession coming, everything like that, that every business kind of has to prepare for and face. Um, Other than that, I don't know. Don't know yet, I guess.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, sometimes you can plan for certain things, like you say, changing governments and, managing that change is a standard anyway with the economy as it is and the potential of a recession that's been looming for a while now. But yeah, no, it's always interesting to hear different viewpoints from different business owners that I do speak to on the podcast. So again, thank you for that share. So moving on to yourself then, Jack, as the business owner.
Mm.
What would you say over those years of running your own business and businesses, would you say would be one of the biggest lessons that you could share with our audience today?
um, it's a, it's, I don't know, it's a proper broken record, but if you think you can or think you can't, you're right either way. The old Henry Ford adage, it's so true.
Yeah.
It really is just about your mindset. Um, Usually I'm full of these. I think it is just I don't know. It sounds super corny, super cheesy, but the gut thing is the gut is always right. I sometimes, if something happens and I'm like trying to work out how I'm going to respond to it, and there's an answer that's there, and then there's an answer that's there, and that one is always right in the end. But I listen, I try and I don't know what I do. I could probably make up a reason to respond to it in a different way, and then month down the line, I'm like, yep, I knew how that was going to go, and I should have just. Do you know what I mean? The amount of times that's happened, and obviously you learn from it, and you don't do it again. But it's funny, like that your gut instinct is you're listening to it and trusting it. That's really important as well. Um, Yeah, sorry, I've run out of quotes.
No, do you know what? Sometimes it is as cut and dry as you've quite clearly summarized it there. I think, the Henry Ford quote, I was in a meeting yesterday with about 25 different businesses, and it was something that one of them stood up and it resonated with everybody. We said that a lot of business is about mindset, but also, like you say, it's about that intuition and that instinctively knowing something. And like we often refer to it as that gut instinct.
Mm,
And like you say, those lessons that you've learned over many years of, those failings, because we learn a lot more from our failings than we do from our wins, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, I think you've summarized it quite well there and very well, in fact, Jack.
And I think as well, like being in marketing and social media and all stuff like that is like there are like sayings like that. And I think those two are like, they're pretty universal, but there's other sayings that everyone just takes as like gospel. And I was talking about this with a client recently, and he was like, stuff like I think the one we were discussing was turnover's vanity, profit is sanity, and he was saying that it's all relative, like it's all, you've got to have context into what's going on. So anyone can chuck out one of those inspirational quotes, and everyone's like, yeah, that's what it is. But
Yeah.
if you don't contextualize it into your situation, it kind of can act against you in the way that you're not seeing. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just believing like this quote. So I think that's important as well, and that's one that's I wouldn't say bitten me on the arse, but it's something that is like, okay, that is what everyone says about that situation, but in my specific situation, there were many variables that acted against that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
just stuff like that. I don't know if that makes it clear, but
No, it does. Yeah, I think it's the element that, each sort of, like you say, inspirational quote has various meanings and different perspectives for everybody that's sort of like looking at it.
Yeah.
Even you and I looking at a perspective of the same thing is going to be completely different because we're looking at it from a completely different angle. So, I think that was what resonated with me, what you was just saying there. So, yeah, that's another great share, Jack. So, talking of great shares, humour me if you will. We're gonna jump into our time machine. I've got a little DeLorean sitting outside and it's got a flux capacitor. We're gonna hit 88 miles an hour. Yes, I'm an 80s kid. And we're gonna go back in time, but we're gonna go back in time and we're gonna see an 18-year-old Jack. And what you get to do, Jack, is you, with all of that knowledge that you've now got, you get to give yourself one golden nugget, one piece of advice. What would it be?
um, I don't know, invest in Apple or something like
Oh, you're about the 10th person that's done that one to him.
yeah, yeah.
That to one side, which is always a good one to give.
I think it's more to do with like planting seeds and about time itself. And I've recently, so I've got a young son, 3-year-old, and I think what that has most taught me the most is the value of time and how you spend it. And you never get it back, but there are ways in which you can spend time which are obviously worth more than others, and it's a better use of your time than others. And I spent a long time on stuff that probably wasn't worth it when I was younger, if you know what I mean. So that'd be probably the conversation I'd have with a younger version of myself, other than cut my hair.
That's brilliant. No, I like that. I think that's a really good one about being careful about how you spend time. So that's another great share. And obviously, if we only had that DeLorean, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
I think there was one of the guys I work quite closely with, one of my coaches, he used an analogy where he was using time and money. So he used the time, but over to the money side, where he said there's three ways that you can spend money. You can invest money, you can waste money, and you can spend it. And then he said,
Mm.
if you flip that over to time and look at it in the same respect of being able to waste time, spend time, and invest time,
Yeah.
it's quite an interesting concept that we all look at it very relatively from a monetary point of view. But then when you then use that same philosophy as an analogy across over to time, it then
Yeah.
starts to,
Yeah.
for me at least anyway, it resonates on a much deeper level rather than wasting time and spending time, investing time. And especially with kids, I mean, you just mentioned that you got a young 3-year-old son there. So yeah, it's definitely something that's it's going to be those moments when you're sort of weighing up that I'm at work, I'd rather be at home, especially if it's
Yeah.
a weekend or something like that. So yeah, no, it's a really great share there. Thanks for that, Jack. So on that note with yourself then, I mean, you've obviously been through some motions in the pandemic. You've obviously set the business up now. You've been running it for 4 years. No doubt you've had those trials and tribulations that come with running a business and growing a team. So what is it that, really inspires you? What is it that puts that fire in your belly each day, each week to do what you do?
Hmm. So I'm really conscious. I don't want to give an answer that everyone, because I guess everyone would probably just say family or something like that, and it is that obviously. Um, I think I'm pretty much unemployable, as in I don't think I could ever work for anyone else after doing this. And I am, as I say, I want to build something that is a bit is beyond me in terms of it's not just about me, but also it's the vehicle for my life, if you know what I mean, and my family's life. So yeah, family is a big part of it. But I think I want to be like a part of something that is well respected in the industry, like do award winning work for clients, be an agency that's sought after as specialists and not just another marketing agency, of which there are, I think there's over 24,000. I think I read that on a LinkedIn post. Don't quote me, but
I was going to say, it
yeah,
must be true if it was on LinkedIn.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a very red ocean, basically. So I'd I want us to stand out in that ocean, basically. Um, and yeah, just do great work for great clients, basically, is what I've always set out to do. And for it not to just be a one-man band show, basically.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a very nice way of sort of, encompassing what it is that you're looking to achieve, and that sort of viewpoint of creating that legacy as well. I really like that too. So yeah, great share, Jack. Thank you very much.
It's really important to me, like that. It's obviously it's changed my life, and it's allowed me to do things that I never thought I'd be able to do. But also, like it's helping my team also have the lives that they want as well. And I never ever thought that I would be in any way involved in something that creates that for someone else. Do you know what I mean? So that is, I've never thought about that really, but that's just come to my mind as well.
Yeah. Oh wow. So a bit of an epiphany during the podcast. Brilliant. So, right, to just wrap things up then, Jack, if you can sort of just let our viewers know, because I'm sure they're going to want to find out more about you and a bit more about your business as well.
Mhm.
So, if you could just share maybe if you've got any news coming up, or also the best way for them to get in touch with you or to get hold of you.
Yeah, so I mean, the business is www.socialadvantage.co.uk. You could find me on LinkedIn, Jack Longman, and jacklongman.com. I also co-host a podcast called The Content Mavericks, where we talk about the business of content creation, basically. And yeah, I think that's about it. And I'm always doing like these types of things on social media, personal branding, B2B marketing, and stuff like that. So yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn and go from there, I guess.
Fantastic. Well, Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.